Hey everybody, Hunter back again. Hope everybody's doing good out there in hobby land and having some good luck with your projects. I am working on several here at the same time, and it seems like everything's coming along pretty good. Hopefully that keeps up. But just wanted to do a little quick tutorial. I've been asked about how I do this a few times, and I decided to go ahead and sit down here this afternoon and do a quick little tutorial on how I go about this process. So I'm going to pan the camera down here and we'll get right into this thing and show you how I do this. Okay, what we're going to be doing is, to start out with, now these I've already painted on the parts tree. This is actually for a project I'm working on. You can see the wheels here. These are the inner and mostly the inner road wheels for a half track I'm working on. And you can see that they are attached to the parts tree. Now, a lot of people like to do it this way, where they'll go in and either brush paint this or airbrush it while it's still attached to the parts tree. And that's an okay way to do it. It works. But then what you would do after that is after you cut this off the parts tree, you have to clean up where your little tabs are. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and cut one of these loose, and I'll show you what I'm talking about here. This is not normally a way that I do it, and a lot of people got kind of confused when I tried to explain how I do it, so I'm going to show it in the video. As you notice, I don't twist parts off the parts tree. That's bad. I always use a pair of cutters, and depending on, you know, how soft the plastic is or how hard it is will depend on how much of the little nub that I leave on the part itself. But this plastic here is pretty soft from Tamiya, so it doesn't really hurt the part any, so you can cut it real close. So all we're going to do is just cut that off the parts tree, and you know, it leaves the little raised section right there on top, you can see. Now, you know, a lot of people will come in after this was all painted. They'll come in and, you know, either use a hobby knife or a file or something like that and just take that little nub off. And what I like to do also when I'm prepping this type of stuff is I'll go ahead and run my light grit sandpaper over that so it blends in. You don't want to sand a lot in one area because you will create a flat spot in it if it's something like a wheel that you're working on or a tire or anything like that. So, but, you know, now what a lot of people would do from this point right here, since they've already painted around the inside and outside of this, and now they've cut it off the parts tree, they'll have to go back in with a paintbrush and lightly touch that up. Now, that's an okay way to do it. If that works for you, that's great. But I think there is a better way to do that. And I'm going to show you here my process on how I do this. And I'm just going to clean up this little, this other little nib that was on the bottom here. There we go. I got that one ready now. So, this is how I go about doing this process. When I cut my parts off the parts tree, and I'll use another one of these road wheels. Now, just pretend that this road wheel here doesn't have any paint on it at all. So, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to snip that off the parts tree. And once I get it off the parts tree, I'm going to come in and do what I did on the other one there. I'm just going to go ahead and clean that little nub off and get that shaved down. I'm just using a number 11 X-Acto blade in my hobby knife. Nothing special to do this. This is a modeling basic, so it's not real hard to do. Alright, I've got that cleaned off now. Now I take my light grit sanding stick and just kind of brush over that so that whole thing disappears. Just do it lightly so you don't cut a flat spot into your round wheel or tire or whatever you're messing with. If it's a flat part, something like, say this piece right here that I'm going to show you something else on here in a minute. If you had a nib right there, you could take your sanding stick and lay it right flat on that and just sand it down, and it makes that whole edge nice and smooth. So, but yeah, be careful when you start sanding on a round item to make sure you don't flatten it out. Now, what we have now is a piece that's been cut off the parts tree. The parts nib is off of it on both sides. It's been sanded, and you cannot tell that that was ever attached to a parts tree. Now, my next step in this would be to support this on something so that I can airbrush it. So what I do in that case, this here happens to have a hole all the way through it in the center. So what I do is just take a regular pointed toothpick, wooden toothpick, and slide it in from the back like that, and you can see where it kind of sticks out the front there a little bit. Now what I'll do in that case, that sticks out a little bit too far for me. I don't really like that sticking out, because when I'm trying to airbrush in here or whatever, this little piece of wood sticking through the center kind of gets in the way. So what I do is I'll take my pen or a pencil or whatever you have handy there, and I'll mark it back to where I want to cut that off. And I'll just come in with my snippers and snip it right on that line. And I will slide that back into my wheel assembly. And as you can see now, we're almost flush with the front part of the wheel. I know the camera's not going to focus real good, but you can see that that's almost flush. You can paint all the way around it. And, you know, it gives you easy access to everything, and you don't have to glue this to the part. That is one way to do it. Now, another way that you will run into, or another thing that you will run into, is this is one of the outer road wheels, and as you can see, the center of it is closed. But on the back, it does have a recess where it slides up over the spindle. So in that case, what I do is I take the same type of toothpick, and I will snip off the taper that's on the toothpick. So we got rid of that. And I will check the toothpick and see if it fits in the back of the part. In this case, it does. So now that's sitting on there. It's ready to be airbrushed. And the other thing that I also do, and actually I have the little tire sitting on this right now, I have some craft foam here. And I use this for holding my parts after they've been painted or before while I'm staging everything. And it's just a matter of drop it in there, foam, and it's there. It doesn't go anywhere. You don't lose it. So that's one way to do it. Now, something that I ran into last night when I was putting the wheels together. These here are the drive wheels, which have the cogs on them. And the hole in the back of it is a little bit bigger than my toothpick. So what I do in that case, to keep from having to glue to that or anything, all I do is just take another toothpick, snip the end off of it. You can use any type of masking tape, really, whatever you have laying around. I always have Tamiya tape laying on my bench, so that's what I'm going to use. And I just kind of tear off about a 1/4 inch long piece. And I'll start the end on my toothpick just like that. Creates a little flag there. And what you want to do is just kind of roll that in on your finger. And once you do that, it just adds a little bit of thickness, or adds a little bit more diameter to the toothpick. And then you can seat that into your part. And it's nice and firm, stays right in place. You don't have to glue anything. And as soon as everything's dried up after painting, all you got to do is pull that right off, and you're good to go. Now, that's way number 2 to do it. Another way that I do it is on parts that do not have holes in them, that you can put a toothpick through. And that's what I wanted to use this little piece of parts tree here for. It has a flat on it. It's actually a piece off Tamiya parts tree. Now, say this was an actual part and we wanted to paint this. What I do in that case is, since this does not have a hole in it, but I want to paint it, you know, as a separate individual part off the parts tree, I will lay that detail side down, which this would be the back side of your part. And here we go again, another toothpick. Now this time I don't snip it with my snippers because it leaves a little bit of a V on the end of it. What I do is take the toothpick and lay it on the bench, and take my number 11 blade and my hobby knife and just kind of rotate it till it snaps off, basically the same way you cut tubing. So now we have a cut-off toothpick here on the end with a square edge. And at that point, I will just take a little spot of super glue. And you can use just about any super glue. I use BSI Industries. This happens to be the medium gap filling, which I use a lot. That's just what I prefer. So I've got a drop of that on there now. Now I just go into a location that's, handy on the back of the part. I hold the toothpick down just like that. And I will spray a little bit of accelerator on that. And you just got to hold it for a second there because accelerator is almost instant. And at that point in time, I usually take a rag and kind of blot the excess accelerator up. This stuff evaporates pretty quick. I have not known it to affect my paint, so I would test it first, but like I say, every time I've ever sprayed it on like that and just dabbed it off, it's evaporated and no paint issues. But now what you have is a part that does not have a hole in it, and you can attach it with a spot of super glue to the toothpick. And same thing with your foam, just kind of stick it in there and you're ready to go. That's pretty much all there is to it. For doing the little parts, like I say, I don't do a lot of regular brushing with a brush as far as the paint. I airbrush 99% of everything that I do. These happen to be some of the assembled road wheels for my half track that I put together last night. And as you can see, same technique. Just basically have this slit up inside of it. And it's painted. Or I actually painted the black tire. I've got to go in and do a mask on it now so I can do the camo in the center. But, real quick and easy. If you needed to work on this part, you just pull it off, do whatever work you need to do to it, and stick it right back on, and you're ready to go. And, just take it over and slide in your foam. You're done with that one. Move on to the next one. So, hopefully that gives you another way of, attaching parts and being able to get a little bit more detailed when it comes to your airbrush work, or even, if you're using a brush, this same technique works. So, any questions or concerns on this video, just leave me a message, and I'll be more than glad to get back to you. So we're going to let you go on that today. I'm going to do another video here right after this. It will actually be on the half track that these wheels that I just showed you here are going on. So that'll be a little update video on that. So like usual, I thank you for watching, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.